The wedding invitation caught the morning light like a weapon disguised in gold. James Porter and Victoria Chin cordially invite you. The letters gleamed elegant, expensive, cold. I stared at it for a long time, the paper trembling slightly between my fingers. Not from nerves. From restraint. My brother's wedding. The event my mother had planned for years, as if arranging a royal merger. She once said, when James marries Victoria Chin, the Porters will finally belong. I suppose she forgot that one of us had already built an empire quietly, without needing anyone's permission. The office was silent except for the hum of glass walls and success. My success. I turned the invitation over, imagining my mother's face when she saw me, the disappointment, who'd traded med school for a garage startup. My assistant's voice cut through my thoughts. Miss Porter, board meeting in 5. And Chin Enterprises sent over the final semiconductor contract. A small smile tugged at my lips. Of course they did. They had no idea the company they were desperate to sign a $50 million deal with, Atlas Industries, was mine. That the woman they dismissed had built the very technology their billion-dollar launch depended on. Tell them I'll review it, I said. I placed the wedding invitation in the drawer beside my first prototype, a reminder that sometimes silence is the sharpest revenge. When the wedding day arrived, the air smelled of roses and entitlement. Marble pillars, champagne fountains, string quartets, the kind of spectacle money creates when it's trying to imitate class. I stepped out of my car, understated in a black silk gown. No designer name flashed, no statement jewelry screamed wealth. The power was in what they couldn't see. Sarah. My mother's air kiss landed an inch from my cheek. You look surprisingly decent. Behind her, my father laughed too loudly with Mr. Chin, undoubtedly about business, not realizing that business already belonged to me. I found my name missing from the seating chart. Of course. Old habits die hard. I didn't argue. I just smiled. If they wanted to seat me in the back, they'd soon realize the back row always has the best view when the stage collapses. As I moved through the glittering ballroom, heads turned, some out of curiosity, others out of habit. They saw what they wanted to see, the forgotten daughter, the odd one out. None of them saw the storm in heels. That night wasn't theirs. It was mine. And they'd invited me to watch the empire they built on arrogance burn from the best seat in the house. The ceremony unfolded like a magazine spread, a garden of silk and lies. Victoria glided down the aisle in pearls worth more than my parents' house, her smile rehearsed for cameras, her hand looped through James's. From the last row, I clapped politely, invisible as always. My mother dabbed at her eyes, whispering, finally, our family's future is secure. She said, our family, as if it ever included me. At the reception, glittering chandeliers hung like expectations. I found no place card with my name. Looking for something? Victoria's voice was honey-laced with venom. My seat, I said simply. Oh, that's right. She pretended to recall. We had to make room for some important guests. But the kitchen staff has a lovely setup near the back. Cozy, really. Laughter followed. James appeared with his champagne smile. Don't make a scene, Sarah. You've always known your place. The words were a knife. The kind that doesn't draw blood, only memory. 10 years ago, those same words had followed me out of my parents' house when I told them I was leaving med school. You'll come crawling back when you fail. They were wrong. I didn't crawl. I climbed. From my seat in the back, yes, the one near the kitchen, I watched the performances unfold. Toast after toast of self-congratulation. Victoria's father boasting about Chin Enterprises' new, groundbreaking tech launch. My brother nodding like a man who believed his luck was permanent. He raised a glass. To family. To loyalty. And to the people who stand by you when it matters most. I almost laughed. If only they knew how many of those people worked for me. My assistant had texted during the ceremony. Chin contract approved. Awaiting final signature. One button press. That's all it would take to destroy their illusion of power. But I waited. Timing is everything. Revenge isn't served hot. It's served in silence, chilled with precision. When my mother passed by, she leaned down. You could at least look happy for your brother. I looked up at her, calm and deliberate. I am happy, Mother. He's about to get everything he deserves. She smiled vaguely, mistaking my words for grace. The irony made me want to laugh. They'd spent a decade pretending I was small. Tonight, they would finally see what happens when small things grow teeth. The first crack appeared during the speeches. Mr. Chin was halfway through a toast when his phone buzzed. His face changed, a flicker of confusion, then alarm. James leaned over, whispering. Victoria's smile faltered. The music played on, but tension crept in like smoke. I rose from my seat, walking toward them as conversations dimmed. Everything all right? I asked softly. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Private family matter. Of course, I said. Though I imagine it's about the contract Atlas just cancelled. Her head snapped up. What did you say? James froze. What are you talking about? I held up my phone. On the screen, the Atlas Industries logo glowed like truth itself. The $50 million semiconductor contract your company needed to stay afloat. The one Chin Enterprises has been praying for. Gasps rippled across the room. Atlas. Mr. Chin stammered. But Atlas is owned by Simon Porter, I finished. My uncle. The public face. I'm the founder. The owner. The one you ignored. For a heartbeat, silence. Then chaos. Phones lifted. Cameras recorded. Whispers turned into a roar. My mother's voice sliced through it. Sarah, stop this nonsense. I met her gaze, steady and cold. Nonsense is pretending to have class when all you have is money. James lunged forward, panic replacing arrogance. Fix this. Whatever you're doing, undo it. I leaned closer, voice low. I remember asking you for help once. You told me to get a real job. Consider this, career advice. Mr. Chin's composure cracked completely. You're bluffing. Atlas wouldn't what? I interrupted. Own your suppliers? Your creditors? Half your debt. I smiled. Do your homework next time. The ballroom had gone still. Victoria's mascara streaked like black tears. You ruined us, she whispered. No, I said quietly. You did. I just wrote the ending. Security hesitated, glancing between me and Mr. Chin. He barked, remove her. I turned to them. Touch me, and every loan your company owes will be called in by morning. You'll be liquidated by sunrise. The guards didn't move. Somewhere, champagne fizzed faintly, a cruel, mocking soundtrack. I straightened my dress, nodded politely, and said, Congratulations on your wedding. I hope you enjoy your cake at the kitchen table. The ballroom, once glowing with chandeliers and wealth, now felt suffocating. Phones lit up like a constellation of judgment. Guests whispered, names trended online before the band even stopped playing. Hashtag Chin Collapse. Hashtag Porter Revenge. James's voice cracked. Sarah, please don't do this. Think about the family. I laughed softly. Family? You mean the one that deleted me from photos because I wore thrift store clothes? The one that called me a failure? My mother tried again, her tone desperate. We were protecting you. No, I said. You were protecting your reputation. Mr. Chin was pacing now, muttering numbers. This can't be true. We were profitable. I corrected. Until your son-in-law started covering his gambling debts with company funds. James went pale. You have no proof. I have auditors. The ones you didn't know worked for Atlas. The crowd gasped. Victoria recoiled, voice shaking. You stole from my father? James reached for her. She stepped back. Cameras flashed. The empire imploded, not with explosions, but with exposure. My mother's face crumpled. Sarah, stop. You've made your point. My point, I said softly, was never to destroy you. It was to remind you who I am. Mr. Chin looked defeated, sweat shining on his forehead. What do you want from us? Nothing, I said. You already gave me everything, every insult, every dismissal, every reason to rise. I turned, walking toward the doors as murmurs followed. The music had stopped. Even the waiters stood frozen, trays trembling. For the first time in my life, the silence belonged to me. At the threshold, I paused. James, I said without turning. About those gambling debts? Atlas owns them now. We'll discuss repayment next quarter. And then I left, heels clicking like punctuation on a decade-long sentence. Outside, the night was cool and quiet. My Tesla waited, gleaming black under the moon. Everything all right, Miss Porter? My driver asked. I looked back at the mansion, laughter and legacy collapsing inside. Perfect, I said. Drive. 3 months later, the headline read, Atlas acquires Chin Enterprises after scandal. The empire that once mocked me now bore my signature. James was stripped of titles. Victoria filed for annulment. My parents vanished from society pages. I stood in the boardroom of my new acquisition, sunlight spilling across polished marble. The same space where my brother once bragged about Porter family success. Now it was mine, down to the framed photos of people who'd forgotten my name. Ma'am, my assistant said, your mother's here. I didn't flinch. Send her in. When she entered, she looked smaller. Her posture still perfect, but her eyes softer, uncertain. The receptionist didn't recognize me, she murmured. Security protocol, I replied. We've had interesting visitors. She sat without invitation. Sarah, we've been thinking about what we did. About how wrong we were. I said nothing. The silence filled the room like truth. We thought success was money, status, appearances, she whispered. We were blind to what mattered. I leaned back, watching her. Did you come here to apologize or to ask for help paying your country club dues? She flinched. We deserve that. But no, I came because I'm proud of you. Even if I don't deserve to be. That was the first time I'd ever heard her say proud. I stood, walked to the window. The skyline glimmered, my skyline. You see that tower? I said. That's where Atlas started. A garage, 2 interns, and no one who believed in me. Tears slipped down her face. And now look at you. No, I said quietly. Now look at you. The difference was everything. I pressed the intercom. Clara, bring in the package for Mrs. Porter. My assistant entered with a thick envelope. My mother looked puzzled. What's this? A second chance, I said. Inside were documents, Atlas's small business grant program, leasing options, mentorship contacts. You'll have to work for it. No shortcuts, no family names. Her hands trembled. You'd help us after everything? I'm not helping, I said. I'm offering an opportunity. What you build next is up to you. She stood, clutching the papers like lifelines. Thank you, Sarah, for the chance and for the lesson. As she reached the door, I spoke again. Do you remember that kitchen table at James's wedding? Her shoulders stiffened. Yes. Best seat in the house, I said. It's where you see people for who they really are. Her expression softened, understanding dawning like light breaking through shame. Then she left. I turned back to my desk, the city sprawling below like an empire reborn. On the shelf behind me sat my old workbench, scarred wood, solder burns, wires from a forgotten life. I kept it there to remind myself that power isn't inherited. It's built. One refusal at a time. One quiet triumph after another. Sometimes revenge isn't fire. It's patience. It's walking away while the people who underestimated you choke on their own assumptions. And sometimes the greatest success isn't proving others wrong. It's proving yourself right.